Thanks for dipping into Anchors Away, at least this episode of it. Certainly appreciate everybody who is giving us feedback on Anchors Away. This segment is something that's on KARK.com. We certainly do invite as many comments, nice comments, and any kind of feedback or things that you'd like us to discuss on Anchors Away. Taking a look at what is on deck today, we're going to talk about this college admissions scandal. This thing has got everybody talking, and there are a couple developments late today about this. Then we're going to talk about stand your ground law. Video went viral of State Senator Stephanie Flowers just going, just being extremely passionate on where she thought this thing needs to go. And then we're going to talk about Boss Lady, a segment that is on KARK4 News at noon. So take a look at the panel today. Ashley Ketz is here, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan. Mallory is got a little work to do on assignment right now. Let's talk about this college admissions thing. This thing. And I don't think I'm the only one who said, no kidding, because I think everyone kind of knew stuff like this was going on, but the magnitude of this is where parents, there was a guy who actually had a business where he said, look, you come to me, you give me $500,000, I'm going to talk to a coach, or I'm going to talk to somebody at a college of your choice, make sure your kid gets admitted to the college. And it's just gone, it's gone nuts.
Well, these are rich people. Couldn't they just afford it on their own?
Very
I mean,
well
seriously.
people.
And he was very well connected, knew people in the sports world, which was one of the avenues these students were able to get into these prestigious schools is through athletics, which they weren't even a part of in most cases.
Never played a sport.
But you would have to think the parents should be pretty well connected too to be able to hook their students or their children up with maybe tutors and all of the practices and the private lessons. I just think back to when I was in high school, my parents spent all kinds of money just making sure I could get through algebra. I had private tutors because I struggled in math. And I learned so much just having that kind of hard work instilled in me. I feel for those kids, they missed out on all that.
And exactly, and I think this is also, there's a generation, I guess, of adults and kids out there that say, look, I want something, just get it for me. I don't want to work for it.
Right.
And Keith, you've got a great experience because you wanted a college education, and you did everything you could to get accepted to the Air Force Academy. Not an easy task.
It wasn't my first choice, to be honest. I mean, back in the day, I wanted to go to Penn State and couldn't afford it. And I was always kind of a patriotic kid. Bicentennial, 1976, before Ashley was born. And
always like to bring
I wanted to be a weatherman. And I had to put those plans on hold. I wanted to get a college education. I couldn't afford it in a civilian college, so I applied to all the academies.
This, by the way, is one of the I guess, Lori Laughlin's daughter. They paid to get her in.
It's not me.
No, neither is this.
So I went to the Air Force Academy, which turned out to be a good choice, a good decision. And I ended up going back to college when I could afford it on my own. And it's amazing how well you do in school when it's coming out of your pocket.
It's a whole different.
You know, I had to pay for it, attended bar at night. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, went back to school, and I got it done.
So kind of a non-traditional route.
Yeah, non-traditional route, but I think this kind of thing it really devalues the education.
Yeah.
In a way, for those kids that work so hard to do it the right way, and then you have these rich people, not being rich, but when you start taking advantage and doing this kind of shady stuff.
And oddly enough, this comes full circle because Lori Laughlin grew up the next town over from me. So she was a big deal in high school because she was on a soap opera and everybody kind of knew who she was. But also when I was in high school, I remember kids getting paid to go take the SAT for someone else. And
so that was going on then.
That was going on then. That's back in
Look
the 80s.
how it's evolved.
And I thought about it. I thought maybe I could ask my parents, but that was out of the question. And I was fortunate enough. My parents said, "Look, whatever school you get into, we'll make sure that we'll afford it somehow." But it was never, "We're going to do whatever we can to get you into a school." You get in, and then we'll take care of it.
And what you do from there is kind of up to you.
Exactly. And then other things too. There are other avenues where parents can offer sizable donations to schools, and then say, hey, now my daughter's applying. Perhaps you get a wink and a nod that way. But this way was just they were actually photoshopping kids' faces onto other athletes
on soccer fields,
giving that to the coach, and the coach saying, hey, here's somebody I want to have play, and then they get out.
And the coaches, I don't know all the details, that took the money. Some of them knew that this was all a scam. I mean, to me, how dare they?
And you have to think too, because then
I can't believe it went on that long.
You got to think that guys over at the in the NC2A, because they're always watching those guys. This opens up a whole nother can of worms that could be out there. At any rate, there's also, I think, excuse me, apparently now I think some kids are suing these schools, saying, look, I didn't get in, and how come? Now I'm suing perhaps to get in to the school because they may have gotten passed up.
And this will impact these families. I mean, I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want
As
to
it
speculate,
should.
but
I
it's
think
going
it
to
should
impact their
impact those
lives
families.
forever, unfortunately, especially when you're dealing with the federal government.
And you think, too, that
It's not going to probably end well.
almost the just desserts is that they spent all this money so they could send their kid to a prestigious school to say, look, my kid goes to USC or wherever, and now it's like, I got caught paying my way in so my kid could go to USC. When, anyway,
It's
that's where it goes. And this is something that people are going to be talking about for a while.
Maybe something good will come out of it. Maybe.
Perhaps. We'll
But
see. We always
I
like
think
to
we're all
think
just
so.
kind of down about it right now.
Yeah, it's a sad commentary
It
on
is.
where, maybe it's gone on forever. I don't know. I won't be naive enough to say this kind of shenanigans
is
hasn't
new,
gone on forever,
yeah.
but it's a sad commentary to me.
Moving on to a commentary that got a lot of airplay. In fact, it went viral. State Senator Stephanie Flowers getting very emotional during a debate over the Stand Your Ground law that was brought up at the Arkansas State Capitol. And she just not a fan of this. And the Stand Your Ground law basically means that if you feel threatened on your property, you have the right to, if you have a weapon, to neutralize that threat, kill the person without actually retreating. Right now, our Arkansas law is if you have a way out, if someone's threatening you,
safe way
if you have a
out.
safe way to get out of the situation.
Especially in a public place, from what I can understand
exercise that rather than
And
stand your
I
ground.
think we need to be specific. I don't think it's
I don't know
just.
if we could bring her up, her audio.
Senator shit. Go to hell. I'm telling you, this deserves more attention. You want to come up here with all these little NRA bills and bills that Alec have and all that stuff. I'm talking about my son's life. And I'm talking about the lives of other black kids. Do what the hell you want to do. Go ahead, but you can't silence me. You got your damn silence gun out the damn chamber today, but you are not going to silence me. With this bill, I think, at least for me,
But so that's something that, there were write-ups in national publications.
What I
and
was saying
everything.
was, it's not just any threat. I mean, like if somebody, it has to be
It's a life-threatening
threat
threat.
of grievous bodily harm or death. Personally, I don't even know this. She's a senator, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Senator
Senator.
Flowers,
She
yes.
comes across as unhinged to me. I think her-
Passionate.
No, unhinged. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think her arguments are flawed. I think when she said to the chairman, the chairman of that Senate committee, what are you going to do? Shoot me? I mean,
Yeah,
you're not.
that's extreme.
If you can't, there's nothing wrong with passion, but expletives and arguments that aren't really even involved, that aren't even like related to that particular law.
And the situations too, because you know that they've got to vary. But as a husband and a father and a gun owner, if there's a threat to my family, immediately the first thing you want to do is to neutralize that threat. And I would have to say, especially if it's on my property, I'm not going to stand around and have a conversation with you to figure out what you're doing there. I'm going to neutralize the situation as quickly as I possibly can, safely. But you have to think that everything is different. And I don't know what this would do to better that situation. But anyway, the Stand Your Ground law is kind of in limbo right now at the state.
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment if it's good or bad. I want to see more statistics. I know Florida always gets a lot of headline. I'm not sure, are there any other states, Bob, that have a law similar to Florida's?
I'm not sure. There are a couple of them out there, but every time, any situation like this comes up, there's a lot of legality to it. It's what was the person doing there? What were you doing there? What's your history as a gun owner? Things like that. So
Right.
it's
And the governor, is a federal prosecutor
Yeah.
background. He's still, I think his stance was that he believes that
we're good where
we're
we are.
good here in Arkansas, but he's open to looking at it. So-
Right, I mean, you shouldn't have to become a victim, ever.
Yeah.
And in the face of grievous bodily harm or possible death against you or your family members.
Yeah.
I mean, you should never have to become a victim just because you're making, you know, somebody uncomfortable because of your belief in protecting you and your family.
You're not going to stop and look up the law
and again,
before you do
we're,
something.
we're not talking about a threat of, you know, somebody calling you names. We're talking about a threat of grievous bodily harm and or death.
Or if someone's standing on your property, even though it's private property, saying, hey, I broke down, I just need some help, you know, all right, then you figure out what that situation is.
Yeah, I mean, if
all
the
about
guy's up there and he's not a threat, you're not going to go shooting
Right.
him down. This
Right.
is specifically for, you know, threats of grievous bodily harm. And, you know.
And that's the part I think a lot of people aren't even really talking about right now because
It's
it's
not
gotten
being broken
lost.
down, yeah. In the passion of it, it tends
When
to
you
get
Google
lost.
stand your ground law, the first thing that pops up now is Arkansas.
Yeah.
This is where the conversation is going, is we're looking to that
And Keith's right.
that passionate or
Get
whatever
into
you
the
want to call it speech
Get into the
by Senator
details of
Flowers.
it to understand what it is, not
Exactly.
just.
Do a little bit of research. Don't rush to judgment. And, you know, about the law itself, you know, look at all sides and look at the statistics. I would really, you know, before I would make a decision, I would look at the statistics in Florida, and I'm sure they're kept on, you know, if there have been, and there have been bad shoots, and those people are prosecuted.
Absolutely.
You know, I
and,
mean-
and you have to think too, you know, if somebody does, you know, they're trying to get help from you and you do wind up shooting them and killing them. I mean, oh my God, you've got to live with that for the rest of your life
Yeah.
too.
Right.
You know, if there's a law in place that says you should retreat peacefully, I don't know, there are so many different scenarios you can
Right.
come up with. But anyway, that's something that's moving around the state capitol, maybe not as much as it was. We'll keep an eye on that. Something though we want to talk about too that happens on KRK4 today at noon. Do I get that?
Arkansas today,
Arkansas
right?
today at noon. It's
We're
something called
statewide now.
it's something called Boss Lady, and this is great for women business owners.
Yeah, and it's been neat to see some of the variety of businesses out there that are run, that were founded by women here in Central Arkansas. There's no shortage of them. I have a friend who I've just gotten to know. She just started a workout place. It's called Full Out Bar, and she has hundreds of women who are addicted to this workout. It's not really the workout, but it's more of the community that of people that you get to spend time with every day while you're sweating and
doing all
you
that
know,
kind of
doing
stuff.
all that kind of thing, burning about 600 calories or so in an hour. But, you know, people ask her all the time, how do you do it? Because she has a family, she has a husband who's a physician, and, you know,
Yeah.
women these days, how do you do it? Well, her answer was, I don't do it all. She has to be very strategic in what she says yes and no
Let me
to, and
explain.
delegate, and
And once a week, all the businesses that are started and owned by women are profiled on Arkansas Today, and it's great
so
to
if you
see
have a
them.
suggestion, we'll
Yeah.
take them. If you know of a female-owned business out there that you think people want to hear about, let us know, and maybe we'll invite them on to talk
We will
about
make
it.
room for them on the broadcast. Well, guys, thanks very much. Appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much for joining us for Anchors Away. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.